Hey world, good morning. I'm here right now driving to Mount Glenwood Cemetery to visit and clean up the grave of 15-year-old Marcie Gerald, who committed suicide in 2016. 15. I'm here with her mom, Elizabeth Gerald. And on tomorrow, we're hosting a suicide prevention training. And sometimes in our culture, because we sensationalize violence and we can become so numb and grow indifferent to the things that are happening in our world, that we can actually change. Things that we feel like we need to wait for someone to change policies or legislation. And that is the long-term goal for the Marcie Gerald Act, that will have harsher sentencings on rapists. And her rapist was a convicted rapist who had already had a history of it. So we're heading to the cemetery to visit Marcie today, as her mother does, and I just want her to share who Marcie was still. This daughter, this child, this 5.3 Harvard Law aspiring young woman. I could have?
Yeah, go ahead. She's right there. Marcie's in the front. Right.
So here we go. So we're heading there, and while we're going there, we just want to share this moment in a moment of love and tribute and remembrance to the many rape survivors. This horrific, violent tragedy. Can we park here, or should we go further?
This is Marcie's right over there.
So should I go over there?
I just need to pull up maybe over here.
On the side?
Yeah, right here. Just pull up right here.
Okay. And to those suicide, because on tomorrow it's this month, September, is World Suicide Prevention Awareness. And on tomorrow, Monday, September 10th, is World Suicide Prevention Day. So we want you to just join us on this journey, and hopefully it will create a space in the midst of all the things that we all have going on as individuals in life. It costs us nothing to care. And maybe you can't reach the person in another state or a county or a ward or a few blocks away, but it might be someone in your own family. It might even be someone you're related to, or someone that you just see and you don't know. You may not understand them, and maybe you are you call them strange or weird, and because you don't feel equipped enough to be able to reach out with just human compassion and kindness to say hello and look them in the eye, to say hi, to let them know that a person cares. And care doesn't require all the right words or having a degree in psychology or being a therapist. Compassion, the power that we have as human beings to just care about another person, is one of the greatest gifts that we've been given. Something that will supersede money and all the resources in the world, when you know that you are cared for, when you know that you are loved.
Yes.
And it takes more than one person. It takes a community. Sometimes parents, caregivers can do the best that they can, but when they have to send their loved ones into a cruel world, that's where we step in as the village. That's where we step in as parents, and we foster love in ways that those that are doing the best they can only protect them so much, when your babies and your loved ones have to go into a world that judges them so harshly, specifically for young women. One of the things that really resonated constantly was this Mother Elizabeth Gerald, Marcie's mother. had to constantly talk about the fact that Marcie wasn't fast and she didn't wear certain clothes and that she was still a virgin. But the fact that she had to preface a defense for her daughter, who's not here, based on her clothing, as opposed to us addressing the fact that our culture is deviant. It is a rape culture. It is a culture that violates women in a way that does not honor their intelligence, that does not honor the female and the feminine body as worthy of the same respect and decencies as our male counterparts. That is unfortunately a part of this sort of master-slave system where we feel like we own people, where we feel like our opinions have to be imposed upon other people without even understanding the importance of just exchanges of humanity and decency in a way that you would want those particular exchanges to be given to you. It's just respect. This is not a male-female situation, because the reality is that we all need each other. Yeah. And however anyone identifies their gender, the reality is that we need to begin to create spaces where we are deconstructing and severing ties to this master system and begin to bring justice, compassion, and create legislation and policies where people that don't honor these code of ethics of community, we will begin to create the Marcie Gerald Act and create spaces for teaching young men and women how to respect and honor other people that are different from you. We're getting ready to head over there, but I just want, you were speaking about, you were communicating about, it still is just, it's overwhelming for me.
What I was saying is that how Marcie had a 5.3 GPA score. She's going to go to Harvard Law. She wanted to become a lawyer and then a judge, and maybe one day a Supreme Court justice, because she wanted to make changes in our culture. She wanted to do, you know, she would feed the homeless. She did do some modeling pageants. She tutored people. She just was a very positive girl. And, you know, she wasn't fast. And I say that because if you look at any picture, she don't have her makeup. She don't have long weaves, because people always think, well, what did she look like? Did she have long weaves? Did she have makeup? Some of these young girls look older. But Marcie looked at her age. You know, she was very well-rounded. You know, she was into education and she wanted to become something. And after the assault, it changed. You know, she stopped wanting to get her hair did. And she would just go and get her hair washed and shampooed, blow dry, and maybe flat ironed or braids or something like that. She stopped wanting to get her hair did. She just would put her hair in a ponytail. She got to the point where she was fearful of males. She got to the point where she didn't even want to go outside anymore. The guy who raped her, I think he had some kind of GD affiliations. And, you know, one thing I will say is when we're in an era where everybody hates the police, the Flossmoor police couldn't have been any nicer or kinder to my family. They took shifts driving past my house. They called, do y'all need anything? I'd have y'all eaten, because, you know, just to make sure we were safe. They did get the perpetrator right away, but he would laugh. Every time he would see us in court, he would start laughing and looking at her, winking and stuff, and, you know, which made her very uncomfortable, and I didn't like it. And as a parent, it took everything I could to keep from just to kill him. You know, if I could have got a gun in there, I think I'd have shot him. And that's the truth. You know, he showed no remorse. Absolutely. And like a straight animal, you know, and I don't understand what the joke was. And, you know, after my daughter was raped, the hospital prescribed Tramadol because her ovaries and uterus was swollen to the point she couldn't walk, because she was still a virgin. That's traumatic. And then he beat her, and she had never been beaten, had never went through any of that. So she kind of spiraled down. She you know, she just felt dirty. Marcie would sit in the tub sometimes for hours scrubbing herself raw. I would have to get like Neosporin and stuff. I take her to the doctor and they would just tell me to get Neosporin and stuff. And You know, I took her to she had Dr. Summer Matheson, which was her therapist / psychiatrist. I would get her counseling and stuff, and she was a great doctor. But when you're still going to court and you have to see this person, there's nothing no doctor can give you. There is no magic pill. There is nothing they can do when you have to keep living it over as you go to court. And I think that's what the problem was. And what ultimately happened is we just took a plea deal because she didn't want to go back anymore, because it was too much on her, it was too much on me. So we asked for a plea deal, and they gave it to us. They offered him 10 years and life parole, they said, because if he does anything else, he's a repeat offender, so they give him life parole. So if he does anything else, he will go to jail for the rest of his life. And the state's attorney had the audacity to tell me, well, they know he's not even going to register because he never does. And my question to them is, well, why would you let him back out? You know, the problem I'm having with this man knows if he goes back to jail, he's going to be in there for the rest of his life. So if he have never killed anybody, wouldn't you think that, well, man, I have nothing to lose now? So I'm afraid that he might start killing women or kids. He don't like women. He likes young girls and boys. You know, I'm thinking right now, maybe what's going through his head is, hey, when I do get up out of here, the kids I catch, he may have to kill them to keep from them saying something. And, you know, people don't seem to understand until it happens to them, and they don't care to judge them. They just lock them up because it's not their kids, and that he's doing it to. Because if it was their kids, you better believe they'd have threw the book at him. And I just don't understand it. And I'm so afraid that the next child he gets, he's really going to hurt him more than what he did to my daughter, because he has nothing else to lose. Because he's going to be in there for life. And if they already know he's not going to register, once he get out, he's just gone. Because they don't put no GPS on him. They just, I guess they give him bus fare or a train ticket or something, and they're supposed to register at a halfway house in Chicago. But most of them don't. So, you know, that's something that should be changed. When, you know, they should put them on a bus and take them to the halfway house or wherever they need to be. Make sure they're registered, making sure, you know, some kind of ankle bracelet or some kind of monitor they should have on them at all times, knowing they're doing what they're supposed to do. And the minute they don't show up, it shouldn't be, well, their parole officer got so many people that it's hard for them to keep up with. Then get more parole officers. Do something. Something has got to be done, because I just have a feeling that he's really going to hurt somebody this time. I think he's really going to, because he has no remorse. He knows my daughter's deceased. And to this day, he's never said, hey, I'm sorry. Nothing. It's never nothing. And, you know, he was recently transferred to, I think, Big Muddy River prison. And because he was beaten and raped, well, they stuck I think a broom or a plunger or something up his anal.
This is in Illinois?
Oh, yeah, he's in Illinois. And he was fearing for his life, so he put in for transfer. And his social worker or whoever it is he works with, they got him switched. So he is switched to another prison now. So every time he gets beaten or something, he put in to be switched to another prison, you know, which I don't think is right. You know, he don't give his victims that right. So he shouldn't get that right to be switched and whatever else. I think, I don't care if they're beating him. They can kill him for all I care. He doesn't deserve to get out. And I'm praying that maybe he do get killed or something. And I hate to sound like that before he does get out, because I don't know. I just
it's real. It's real.
It's
what
really
you feel.
real. And
in our culture, oftentimes we have more. We always have more compassion for the predators than we do the victims. The victim, it's like, well, what were you wearing, or where were you, or how come you were out that late, and why? And something I communicate a lot of times when it comes to rape, it definitely, the culture needs to change. We need to raise our little boys and girls differently.
Yes.
Periodly, in the way that we see ourselves. And because it has so much to do with the way that we treat other people and the way we view other people. But even in that regard, oftentimes there's this constant saturation of oppression when it comes to the feminine body and the female body, about how you dressed. And, well, I've heard guys say, well, she knew what was up. If a woman comes to your house at 3 and 4 in the morning, and even if she had decided when she left that she did want to have sex with you, if she gets to your home, and even if you're in the middle, if a woman says, stop, that's what it should be. There is no, well, you knew what was up. Like, what is that?
Right.
But again, it comes from this master slave code system. The creators of slave codes brought you gender codes. You know, the people that create systems of oppression, that where we feel like we are owed something by people, where we feel like people can't change their mind. And this somehow these hierarchies of respect based on your reproductive organ, based on the fact that if you have a vagina or a penis or whatever that might be, even those limitations, somehow we feel like we still are owed an orgasm or whatever it is that people feel. But this rape culture is real. And there's so the numbers of women and young men, people that have been raped, violated, which is a violent assault. You kill a person.
Yeah.
You kill so much of a person.
You know, he took her soul. He took her soul the day she was assaulted. He took her soul. She was never happy again. She was never smiling. You know, I sent you a video of her being silly.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
It was never nothing else like that no more. She totally was just never the same, you know, at all after that happened. And I know a lot of people say, well, you can get over it, but you don't get over stuff like that. You don't get over being violated. You just don't. It's
with you for the rest of your life.
Exactly. And her first experience with a man is to be beaten and raped. It's, you know...
And that we didn't have any support. Like,
he took her life.
We didn't have any support.
No,
like, we have to build greater support.
You know, the thing is, the Flossmoor Police Department had first told me to Larabita. They told me they're really good, you know, for sexual assault victims. And Marcie need a lot of therapy. And so when I first reached out to Larabita, they said they had a waiting list. And we waited, and after so long, I ended up finding about the Laney Foundation. Is where I met Dr. Matheson. They took her in like ASAP. And, you know, in the beginning, they would have people come to my house and do therapy with her there because she was afraid to come outside. And then gradually she would go there. And some days they would still have to send somebody to my house because she was still, you know, afraid to come outside. But it worked. But Larabita finally called me a week after I buried her and said they had an opening. And I said, it's too late. She gone there. And the lady's like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. And I said, she gone. And she didn't know what else to say other than she's sorry. And she was like, you know, mental illness, is anything to do with mental illness, suicide, and sexual is at the bottom. She says the mayor has cut, and there are so many people, there are so many mental health centers and clinics that are being closed down because it's not considered important. Anything to do with rape, mental health, suicide, they just put them at the bottom because they figure they're not important. And so when you have such a long waiting list, it's just hard. And they said they have so many young girls that are being raped that are on that waiting list still, you know, it's only so much they can do. And I'm like, something has to change.
And we have to change it.
It should not be on the bottom.
And we have to change it. And we have to change it.
You know, what's on the top then? You know what I'm saying? If
and then who's on the top? It's always those things. But for those of us that are, you know, power, that's another subject. And the way that we release and surrender our power to these ideas of people that we feel somehow are holding all of it. And so then we relinquish ourselves from any real commitment to change in a tangible way in communities and in our families. Like, how do we talk about mental illness? How do you ask someone, do you want to kill yourself? How do you sit still with somebody and hold their hand? How do you sit still with a mother? When my heart breaks just talking to her every time. And when it feels like you're uncomfortable because you don't know the words, you stay with them.
Yes.
You stay with them. You just, you stay with them because they matter. And it matters because it's a part of us. And for me, it's like, I just don't ever want to get to a point where I stop feeling me.
Right.
I don't want to disconnect from me. And there's a reason why we feel the world so deeply. There's a reason why, as women, we have intuitive powers or knowings and awarenesses that our reproductive causes us to be in contact with the world in a much more profoundly, intricately delicate way. Those intuitions are extremely important in this world. This very toxic environment has created an environment that denies the human expression and communication and connection with itself. And these are the things that allow us to be present with each other, that we are able to heal just by the power of being present. But you were saying that the thing is, and we're going to walk over and we want you to just take the journey with us over to Marcie's grave, and my heart is heavy, no doubt. I cry on the phone with her sometimes when I'm just there, because but I don't ever want to lose that connection to Marcie and all the others and friends and loved ones that I know that are experiencing PTSD and the trauma of rape.
And there's so many Marcies. There are so many Marcies that have actually survived. And, you know, Marcie would sit in the tub for hours just scrubbing herself raw. And I would have to get like Neosporin and creams for her to put down there, because she would just sit there and scrub herself. And she felt ugly. As far as clothes, she wanted to wear like dark blue, dark green, or black jogging suits that were too big for her. Marcie was maybe 100 pounds, you know, and she'd want to get like a large or extra large. I mean, it's way too big for her, you know, and she didn't want to have her hair did. She just put it in a ponytail and a big old jogging suit that was way too big, because she wanted to hide herself, and she was just never the same. Never.
I know that feeling from experience many sexual abuse. Like, oh my God, I experienced sexual abuse, so I don't even a lot of it is blocked out. Right. But I know what it did to me in terms of sense of self-hatred. And I mean, it spiraled something in terms of suicide. And what happens when a person doesn't feel like they can protect themselves. Like, when you don't feel like you can protect you, it gives you such a sense of worthlessness and hopelessness, because every organism is equipped with self-preservation, the ability to protect itself. And when you lose that sense of self, I just remember a lot of times my body going through changes and giving shape, and I just wanted to wear big clothes. And I remember even just all the changes that you go through, nobody goes through. And I remember even that people whispering about being a dyke and a lesbian and all these other things when they don't even know what you're experiencing, like how people's own ignorance is. That's why it is important to have workshops and have spaces. Number one, to create new language in the way that we are talking and speaking about other people, to create a better environment of care where we begin to stand behind those victims. When our systems and justice does not necessarily prevail, we can, because we are sometimes the only justice that people will ever know, the only God that people will ever meet. It is us. And that blood is on our hands. When we choose to be willfully ignorant, when we choose to disconnect ourselves from the self, when we choose not to care, when we choose to use old adages and old superstitions and old ways of thinking in order to excuse ourselves about what we know we feel in our heart. What we feel in our heart, not based on a label that this culture has ascribed to someone. That we see a human being and we go, don't treat them like that. Are you okay, baby? Sometimes just smiling because you do not know the storm that someone is going through. And that's where we come in as human beings. We don't have to wait for election day. This is where we are in our own selves equipped with the power to change the world that we occupy.
Oh, yes.
So just like, just tell them while I'm getting the stick so we can hold it, so we can get the flowers back here, about the night, what happened that day. From the court with Marcie.
Well, we ended up taking a plea deal, because as we would go to court, he would laugh and smile and he never showed any remorse, and we both just got tired. So we actually asked for a plea deal, and he got they offered him 10 years and life parole. They said that if he does anything, that he will spend the rest of his life in jail. That's what life parole is. Life parole means you don't get out no more. There is no more chances, because he is a repeat offender. And one of the problems I have with that is I feel like now he knows he has nothing to lose. So when he does get released, if they know he's not going to register anything, the next child he gets, I really think he's going to end up killing them, or you know, because a lot of times rapists do become killers. And the thing is, he might have already killed somebody. We don't know. I don't know this man's history. I don't know how long he's been doing this. Only he knows. And that's one of the things I'm fearful of. But he told my daughter that if she wasn't so beautiful, he would not have been attracted to her. So she has nobody to blame but herself for what he did. And he just fell out. He just laughed. They judged him, take him up out of there. And I just wanted to, Lord knows, I just wanted to just blow his head off when he said that. And you know, they took him out of there. And She ran out and I ran behind her, and, you know, we stood in front of the courthouse and I held her, and my son was just like, you know, going crazy outside, and we left. My son needed some air, so we went back home, and I was doing laundry that, you know, I just did, because I couldn't do nothing else. I was just doing laundry, and she went in her room, and I kept asking, was she okay? And she wasn't hungry, and she was just sitting in her room looking out the window, and I would go upstairs and check on her, come back down. And maybe around 10 or so, she had asked me to run her some bath water. She wanted it to be lavender oil and almond milk. And so I said, okay. So I put some lavender oil and almond milk and made her a bath. And she sat in the tub for maybe an hour or so, and I thought maybe she was scrubbing herself raw, and I went and checked on her. She says, no, Mom, just relaxing. And I said, okay, baby. And she washed her hair, and she got out. She was in her room, and I said, do you want me to make you something? She says, no, I'm not hungry, Mom. I said, you want some milk? You want juice? You want anything? She didn't want anything. So I said, okay. So I got tired maybe around 11 or so, and I lay down and went to bed. And maybe a little after midnight, she came downstairs and woke me up and said, I love you, Mommy. I said, I love you too, baby. And she got in the bed with me, which was not unusual, because we told each other we loved each other every day. We hugged each other every day. And anybody who knows me will tell you my daughter stuck up on that being like glue, because she was my only girl. So, you know, we were just like, you know, she was just like glue. And so she laid up on me. She laid on top of me in my arms and everything. And, you know, we went to sleep. And, you know, when I woke up the next morning, I said, Marcie, get up. Because I woke up at 6 a.m. I said, Marcie, get up. Nothing happened. I said, Marcie, get up. Nothing happened. I said, Marcie. And still nothing. So I sat her up. I jumped up and I started shaking. I said, Marcie, wake up. What's going on? What's going on, Marcie? And nothing. And I'm legally blind. My vision is actually a -17, so that's why I don't drive anything. I screamed for my son to come downstairs. He ran downstairs, looked over the banister and said, Mom, call 911 now. He went back upstairs. I can hear him screaming, so I called 911, and I said, there's something wrong with my daughter. I can't wake her up. They came. I mean, the ambulance, they were there maybe within a minute. You know, they were really quick there. They laid her on the floor and started doing CPR and stuff. I ran to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, washed my face. I came back. I heard the paramedic said, we got to hurry me to the hospital. I threw on my house shoes, ran out the door behind him. My son ran downstairs and said, Mom, what happened? What's going on? I said, I don't know. When we got to South Suburban Hospital, the doctor was waiting outside. There was a couple of doctors and some nurses. They took her. They ran in. One of the nurses, I couldn't see, so I was trying to run. One of the nurses grabbed me and said, we're going this way. And she took me in and sat me down by the emergency room doors, and she said, well, let me go see what's going on. I said, okay, please. So she went in, and then maybe a few minutes later, she came back and said, the doctor wants you to start calling your family. And I said, why? What's wrong with Marcie? Is she okay? And the nurse said, well, I don't know what's going on. I just need you to call your family members. And I think she knew and just didn't want to tell me. And it, you know, so I said, well, I don't have a purse. I don't have a phone, because this is 6 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, I just had my gown and house shoes. So I gave her my sister's number and I gave her my niece's number, and she said, okay, we'll call and then I'll come back. So when she came back, she said, your family members are on the way. And I said again, well, what's wrong with Marcie? And I said that she need to go to another hospital. I mean, what's going on? So she said, well, let me go find out. So she went back there, and then maybe a few minutes later, the doctor and the third person came, and they said, Miss Gerald, can you come talk to us? And I said, yeah. They took me to a private room, and they asked me, the doctor said, Miss Gerald, please have a seat. And at this time, the third person informed me that he was a chaplain, and none of this was dawning on me that they're in a private room, it's a chaplain there. And all I kept saying is, what's wrong with my daughter? I mean, did she need to go to another hospital? Is she surgery? Is she in a coma? What happened? And they told me she had expired and there was nothing else they could do. I said, well, can I see her? The nurse said, yes, let us clean her up. They said I couldn't hug her or nothing because they had to do a full autopsy. So when I went back there, she was just laying on the bed. They had her covered up with the little white blanket or sheet over her whole body. Just her face was showing, and she was just laying on the bed, and it just didn't seem real. My sister and them got up there, and it was not real. It just, you know, it just was not real to me. And they said I could stay up there till the coroners got there. And when he got up there, they tell us we had to leave. And what ended up happening was...
So the phone got a little bit hot, so I had to turn on the air. I had to stop it, but you were talking about, well, you're going to finish with what was at the hospital, but you were just saying something about the fact that it's so, if you could have, I was saying that for me listening to it, it's still surreal, like, that this child is gone. So I can't imagine for her mom what that has to be like. It might not even get kicked in, like you know it, but you don't know it. And you were saying that, like,
you know, if I could actually be here every day, all day, I would be here. Seeing your child going in the ground, or whether cremated or whatever, is just it's just not real. It's not natural. It shouldn't be, you know. And you know, when you come up here and I have to say, well, that's her right there, and you know, your heart is not the same. I don't sleep at night too much. I can't tell you the last time I've actually had a good night's sleep, because I don't sleep. And, you know, I'm not happy, because even, you know, I try to do things to help other people. I you know, inside I'm like missing my daughter. It's like, man, you know, my daughter, we did everything together. She helped me with my banking, with grocery shopping, and you know, when we get send out for the bills, and you know, she did a lot of that. And it's like, when it's time for me to do that, it's like, man, you know, and I don't know, it just don't seem real sometimes. It just, you know, and the thing is, everybody else goes on with their life, and I'm still here stuck feeling the pain, still here stuck feeling the you know, I just don't feel it. And you know, I see other people and their kids, and it's, you know what, I seen a lady at the store, and she was yelling at her daughter, and I had to stop. I said, don't do that. I said, because if something happened to your daughter today, tomorrow, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. And I told her, I said, I buried my daughter. I said, you know, a lot of people say, oh, my kids are getting on my nerves, or this, that, or the other, and they yell and scream at them. And, you know, tell your daughter you love her, hug her, make this the best time, because kids are getting shot, kids are committing suicide, kids are just going through stuff right now, and people here are losing their kids from left to right. And if something happened, God forbid, and you have to bury her, man, this day here will haunt you for the rest of your life. And the lady actually looked at me and she started crying, and she hugged her daughter. And I said, make that an everyday thing. I said, because that's one thing I'm glad that me and my daughter did have, that kind of relationship, that we told each other. You know, she would even text me at school sometimes, I love you, mommy, and I would text her back, I love you. And my son said, well, how's she gonna go to Harvard when she up under you all the time? And it would be a joke or stuff. And she would say, well, I'm gonna take mommy with me. And you know, the closest we had, and I just missed that bond. And I, you know, when I come up here, I don't want to leave. It's hard. And, you know, I keep looking over there now, and I'm like, you know, there she is. And I guess it's not like she's in the ground right now. It's just like we're going to her house or something. I don't know how to explain it, but it is surreal. You know, I know it's her grave, but
it's, your mind has to,
right.
Your mind has to find ways to cope with this.
Exactly.
And
so
it's like, it's not, this isn't.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're going to walk over to Marcie's home space right now. So, I'm going to send love to any and everyone out there feeling maybe like you're alone. And it's easy to feel like that, unfortunately, because it's so easy for all of us to feel like we're in such a rush. And you don't feel like you matter. To these babies who don't have the coping mechanisms, and these are, you're coming to decorate Marcie's. All right, 1 second. Tomorrow is our suicide prevention training at 840 East 87th Street with Inner City Women's Empowerment Network. You can find it on our page, the Neighborship Network, or on my personal page, Facebook, Pearl Ramsey, with the Neighborship Network and MG J?
MJG.
MJG movement. It's the Marcie Gerald Jones.
Marcie Janae.
Oh, Marcie, MJG.
Yeah,
Marcie Janae
Gerald.
Gerald
Yeah.
movement. And this is, her mother's created this organization, and she has been working so hard. You'll have to check out her page to just get a sense of who Marcie is. And maybe if you're seeing signs inside of those that love you, your loved ones, if you're seeing traits and you don't know how to address it, how to embrace them, how to reach out for help, then reach out to us or other organizations where you feel you can be better equipped. But this is the beginning of what we hope to be some real cultural changes and shifts. Where is it?
I think it's her purple flock. No, that's not.
Let's see. Where is it? So we're out here. You looking for her flowers?
Yeah, they might have. Oh, there she goes. I see her vase.
You see her vase?
Yeah, this vase right here, I believe is her. Yeah, this is her. Yeah, it's like that.
This is grand. This one that looks like that. Let me keep looking. It's like a little vase, you said?
Yeah, she's over this way though. I know that.
She's over that way? Okay. Patricia Pat Peterson. It's the family of Patricia Pat Peterson. Right over there? Oh, there's her vase.
Yeah, they cleaned it up. They must have just did this.
Marcie.
Because her other flowers.
Let me wipe it off. Let's see.
Yeah, somebody came and took her other flowers. Because usually they don't take their flowers.
We're going to clean off this. Yeah, we're going to clean it off.
Thank you.
Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to clean off all of this. Ugh.
Oh, wow.
Let me clean all of that off the way.
I want to get her one of the newer,
Here we go.
get her another,
Let's switch. Okay, we're going to clean off. But you stated that that's staggering. I mean, I don't even know how to, you said that there were 3 more deaths at the Marcie on the same block?
the same block.
Within what period of time?
Right, like back to back. I mean, within a year. And I didn't even know about it. I ended up finding out about this to one of the other neighbors actually came and told me. And we were talking, and she actually had told me, and she showed me the houses and stuff, and, you know.
Were they all friends of Marcie's?
Yeah. Everybody on the block knew everybody. You know, one thing about suicide, even people don't like to talk about it, and because of the shame, the stigmas, like, you know, I don't know what these families went through. I don't know what religions they are. I don't know what, because everybody in the church, everybody on that block went to a different church, different religion. So, you know, because of the stigmas and taboos, that's why I really go out and I advocate so hard, because, you know, it's the church people who will sit there and say, oh, well, your child's going to go to hell, or is this, or is that, or... So a lot of times people won't talk about it. They'll rather say it was a natural cause or something other than a suicide. So,
because of the stigmas.
Because of the stigmas. And so I couldn't.
Of our ignorant, stupid superstitions.
So I couldn't really, do too much other than, I said, and I just told, the neighbor, hey, if they need to talk, let them know I'm here. And, another one of my neighbors that lived around the corner from me, her son hung himself. Her name was, the Weavers. But I'm friends with her other son on Facebook. Her son hung himself. I think he was being bullied or something. I'm not sure what the whole story was with him. But Monica is the mother. She ain't, when you lose a child, you just don't be right. When I first knew Monica, she worked. Very well business lady, professional lady, very well rounded. Wanted to help me with, the movement and everything. She's involved in Jack and Jill and, all kind of stuff. And after her son hung himself, she stopped driving she stopped working, she stopped driving. She stays in the house now. So, it's losing a child is real.
And then what makes it worse is, like I heard a young woman say, she was raped when she was 8, but the silence in her family was worse than the rape.
Yeah. Nobody
wanted to talk about it.
Yep. See, that wasn't my case, so I wanted my daughter to get justice. I'm not one of those parents that's, I wanted her to get justice. I wanted her to, know that, hey, it's not your fault. And I've had so many rape victims tell me that they, got raped as kids, and they would say back then, what goes on in my house stays on in my house, so they wouldn't get justice. And so many grown women have been raped and assaulted, and they didn't get any type of justice because they were afraid to face their accusers and afraid of being judged.
Well, the accusers was in the family?
It could have been in the family. It could have been a friend. It could have been a neighbor. It could have been a spouse, whoever. But
exactly.
They don't want to face them in court, or they don't want to be judged.
They don't want to be judged.
And
that's what ends up happening.
Yeah.
Is that the judgment lies on the victim. They have to prove how they did not cause that to happen.
Right.
Like, what did you do to make this criminal, this sick individual, whatever issues they got, what did you do to cause someone that's criminal and deviant to assault you?
Right.
As if people need a reason.
Right. That
the sickness dwells within.
Right. I mean, people don't look at it like serial killers. They just kill for the thrill of it. Rapists just kill because maybe it's their thrill of it. You got some people that just do stuff. You got some bad people in this world. And, one thing I will say, our culture is the only one that don't come together. When it's a white kid that commits suicide, the whole community comes together. And they change laws. They make laws. Then, and they do what they can. The whole community's together. When a rape person is raped or killed or whatever, no matter what it is, they come together. But in our community, unless it's a police shooting or another race that kills us, it's like it's silent. Nobody does anything. Nobody says anything. It's nothing that's done. But
a lot of that is unfortunate through conditioning.
Yeah.
Through the conditioning of the culture, and
religion
has played its role.
Yes.
In terms of being overseers, in terms of ensuring that the black community in America knows that they are constantly on rotation about the lack of their importance, not just in the world, but to themselves and to humanity. So that indoctrination over and over again is very, very real. And you see it in the way that we are. And we're dealing with some very real forces. I mean, unfortunately, we're dealing with systems of indoctrination and compulsory education that constantly feeds this sense of worthlessness and lack of value to you. And so our go-to is this oppressive God that needs us to always be suffering, and somehow heaven is the only place that's going to be safe, meaning when you dead. And so because of that, it forces a sense of fear through a lot of conditioning, through torture, to shut up, be quiet, just accept your fate. It's inevitable. Your kid's going to die young anyway. You going to be raped, and it's going to be a part of it. And it's that ignorance, because the detachment from the human is so pervasive and insidious here on this country. But in reality, white culture is affected by the same poison that this system has tried to inject us with. Nobody escapes that. It's like trying to escape the clouds on this planet. It's all going to come round full circle. But there are many of us, unfortunately, in the black community, we're forced to have to address our dysfunction and heal it. Whereas the system has created resources to address the dysfunction and the poison in white community. Black community, it's all on us. It's all on our shoulders. And of course, we're dealing with a lot of different barriers in terms of when we do get together. There are intentional systems created to make sure whatever progress we make, it always keeps us pushing a ball upward. But I don't subscribe to any of those systems, and I know that one person does matter, because in truth, it's always been one person that has made the difference, and then others joined in. So Marcie Gerald, the goal is, I'm going to throw that away when we get the bag. But the grave, I think, looks a lot better now that we've cleaned her space. So Marcel.
Yeah, Marcel Janae Gerald.
Janae Gerald. 15 years old. So you're going to decorate it? And you're right. Unfortunately, the lack of education, or the fear that we have been, that has been used to remove black culture from its self-value and its own power. But indeed, we have shaped this entire nation, not just architecturally, but even in terms of a culture, and bringing a real authentic culture to this nation. So it's constantly having conversations that instill, put it in the back right back there, that instill value. We're just giving tribute to Marcie Gerald. And you'll see that name a lot.
I decorate her grave every season, every holiday, her birthday.
Her birthday was July 20th?
No, that's the day she died. Her birthday January 3rd.
Oh, January 3rd.
Yeah.
July 20th.
That's the day she left.
That's the day she left.
Yeah, that's the day she was born. That's the day she left.
Mommy loves you, baby.
You never think you're going to have to bury your child and, have to get their obituaries and take out a headstone and stuff. It's hard. It really is hard.
And there's probably no even word for that. It's like hard is the best word you could come up with, but I don't know if we have a word yet for what that is, what you experienced in.
Nope, because this is my child. I couldn't get married.
And your best friend.
Yep. A lot of people don't understand this, and the mothers who have experienced this know, because they can relate, but gotta fix your house. See, I can fix it up a little bit better. Hey, look.
We're gonna take the tags off of it.
It's
the tags off on the
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, right.
When I first had to put stuff down here, people would come in and take their stuff and put it on their relatives, but the cemetery would, we fund it and stuff, and they say sometimes you got people that do that.
Stick it up a little bit higher. Make sure it's leaning.
I can't see it.
Okay, let me help. I'll do it.
Yeah. See, normally my son's gonna come out here with me.
There we go.
Fix it up.
Okay. I'm honored to do it. Let me take the tag off the back.
Okay,
Hold this right here.
Put this in here so I had brought some. Like
all right, so we're gonna hold it. Oh, cool, perfect. Okay. I'm gonna take the tag off.
Okay. And yeah, do you think they look better in the front or in the back? The little.
I don't know. I think it looks cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks cool because the flowers are in the center and it takes up.
Okay.
Yeah,
I put the flowers down there nice because I try to put them where they looking decent.
No, it looks good.
Okay.
I'm gonna wrap this up so we can throw this away.
Okay.
Okay. So, you want some time with her? Want me to walk away?
We talk. We can.
I want to just tell her that these words are too limited. Yeah. And I'm really more than sorry. Like, it's not even sorry. We failed you. We failed you, Marcie. And we will work without end to make sure that your name is remembered through actions of compassion that you didn't get from culture and society, where you and your mom and family had to tread these very dark and murky waters alone.
Marcie, Mama loves you and she misses you so much. A day don't go by that I don't think about you, and you know that I'm here. You know, I'd be here every day if I could, and you know. Mama doing everything she can to keep your name alive and keep your legacy going, baby. I am doing everything I can. Little Timothy graduated and he went to Harvard for you. That's one of her best friends. All her best friends went to got accepted to Ivy League colleges.
Wow.
And little Timothy, he's in Harvard, and I think one of them, they all went to different colleges, but they did in honor of her to keep her legacy alive. This is real, y'all. This is real. And you know, she was an honor roll student and had her whole life ahead of her, and because of what some animal did to her and being victimized and blamed at court by him, and he's laughing and stuff, she seen no other way. She wanted the pain to end, so she took the bottle of Tramadol the hospital gave her, and went to sleep and just never woke up again. And you know, she came downstairs and said, "I love you, Mommy." She got in my arms and just went to sleep. And she came into the world the same way. She went out the same way she came in. When I had her, they cut the umbilical cord and they laid her on my chest, and she peed on me. When she went out, she peed on me, and I didn't know it was her at first. I thought my neighbor had just gave her a miniature picture, and I thought the puppy had actually peed, but she peed on me. So I'm the first person she ever peed on, the last person she peed on me. So she came in and went out in my arms, you know, and I will always have that. And her last words was, "I love you, Mommy." So I'm fortunate that I do have that. You know, there was, you know, I'm fortunate that we did have a good enough relationship that, you know, we had that good time. And, you know, some people lose relatives or loved ones, and they might not have spoken in months or years. And then once they lose them, it's like they lose their mind because of all the animosity they had towards one another. And, you know, I tell people that we got to learn to start being kind to one another, loving one another, holding one another. It's free to just give a person a hug, and you know, don't let arguments go on, and not have forgiveness, or you know, and we got to be here for our kids, especially. You know, we're in an era where we have kids killing kids, and we just got to do better. We really do. And we got to start with coming together and that love, that peace, and that harmony. That's the main thing. And you know, out of all the families I've met, I'm the only one that child was able to say, I love you, and and she slept in my arms. You know, a lot of people say their kids were shot and killed, and that was just it. And you know, that's my last memories of her. And this is my reality, y'all. This is my reality. This is my life. And my reality, and it's real. Yep. So I have to come up here and decorate her and keep it cleaned, and yep, my reality. So I'll come back up here in November, so they'll put a wreath down for Christmas, and I'll put her wreaths and her Christmas type flowers and stuff down. But this is for fall decorations, fall colors.
We don't have to wait to elect leaders. We can lead with love.
Yes.
We are not powerless. We are not a hopeless people. Everything we need, we are. We are created with all the seeds we need to change the world that we believe is possible. It is always us. It's always been us. We are not waiting for change, because we are the change. September 10th, 2018, from 6 to 8:30, at the Inner City Women's Empowerment Network, ICWIN, at 840 East 87th Street, we will be hosting and having a suicide prevention training. It's time that we stop waiting. Just get in where you fit in. Be willing to learn. Be willing to change. Be willing to be educated. Be willing to be informed. And stop being shocked by the world that we are creating when we decide to not participate. That's tomorrow. You can reach out if you are feeling like you want to kill yourself. If you are feeling overwhelmed by neglect from our culture and society and world, that is its own sickness, reach out. I do not have the words. I don't know what to say. I just know I want to be there. I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of the healing. If I can hug you, if I can do the research, find out what is needed, we can do this together. I love you. I love you. I really love you. I really love you. And as informed with every time that I speak or talk with Elizabeth Gerald, mother of Marcie Gerald, we always end the conversation with Marcie Gerald. And so with that, I'm going to end with this new beginning of healing by saying, Marcie Gerald.
Marcie Gerald. Marcie Gerald.